Hello and welcome to G Fun Facts Online. Today we're talking about an aircraft that was hailed as the future of air travel, the Boeing 787 Dreamliner. For over a decade it was a symbol of innovation, efficiency, and safety. But a recent tragedy has put this modern marvel under a harsh new light, raising difficult questions about its celebrated legacy. On June 12, 2025, the unthinkable happened. Air India Flight 171, a Boeing 787-8 Dreamliner, crashed just 5 minutes after taking off from Ahmedabad, India, bound for London. The plane, carrying 242 people, went down in a residential area near the airport. It was the first fatal crash in the Dreamliner's history. The crash resulted in the tragic loss of 241 lives. Miraculously, there was a single survivor. The aircraft itself was about 11.5 years old and had a long service history, with over 41,000 flight hours. Investigators are now poring over every detail. Security footage from the takeoff is a key piece of evidence. Experts have noted the plane only reached an altitude of about 625 feet. Crucially, video analysis suggests its landing gear was still down, and more worryingly, the wing flaps may not have been extended. Flaps are absolutely essential for generating the lift a heavy plane needs to climb during takeoff. While it's still very early, these initial observations have led to two primary lines of inquiry. Was this a catastrophic mechanical failure, or was it human error? India's Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau is leading the charge with help from the U.S. National Transportation Safety Board and Boeing itself. As a precautionary measure, Indian authorities immediately began inspecting Air India's entire fleet of Boeing 787s. But to truly understand the significance of this crash, we need to look back. While this was the first fatal incident, the Dreamliner's journey has been far from smooth. Let's rewind to January 2013. A fire suddenly broke out in a lithium-ion battery on a Japan Airlines 787, parked at Boston's Logan Airport. Just days later, another 787, this time flown by All Nippon Airways, had to make an emergency landing in Japan because of a smoldering battery. This was a massive crisis. The FAA and other global aviation authorities took the unprecedented step of grounding the entire worldwide fleet of 787s. The problem was traced to something called thermal runaway in the plane's powerful lithium-ion batteries. Boeing had to go back to the drawing board, re-engineering the battery system with better insulation and a new steel containment box to prevent it from ever happening again. The fleet was cleared to fly again about 3 months later, but it was a serious blow to the Dreamliner's reputation. The problems didn't stop there. More recently, in March 2024, a LATAM Airlines 787 flying from Sydney to Auckland experienced a sudden, terrifying plunge that injured 50 people. A preliminary investigation pointed to a bizarre cause. An accidental movement of a pilot's seat might have pushed the controls forward. In response, Boeing sent a directive to all airlines to inspect the switches on pilots' seats, and there's a longer list of smaller but still concerning incidents. Between 2015 and 2024, Air India alone reported 32 separate incidents with its 787s. These ranged from engine shutdowns and flight control glitches to smoke in the cabin, cracked windshields, and hydraulic leaks. Even just days after the tragic Ahmedabad crash, another Air India 787 had to turn back to Hong Kong because of a suspected technical issue. And let's not forget the Ethiopian Airlines 787 that caught fire at London's Heathrow Airport back in July 2013. Thankfully, no one was on board. That fire was traced to a faulty emergency locator transmitter. So, what is it about the 787? This aircraft was revolutionary. It was the first to have its main structure, the airframe, built primarily from lightweight composite materials instead of aluminum. It also relies much more heavily on electrical systems than older planes. These innovations are what made it so fuel efficient, but they also introduced new kinds of complexity and potential points of failure. Adding to the concern, a Boeing quality engineer came forward as a whistleblower in 2024, alleging that shortcuts were being taken in the 787's assembly process. He claimed that debris was being left in critical areas and that composite materials were being improperly handled. Until June 2025, the Boeing 787 Dreamliner had a stellar safety record. No fatalities, no hull losses in over a decade of service. It's been a hugely popular and profitable plane for Boeing, with over 1,000 delivered to airlines worldwide. But the crash of Air India Flight 171 has irrevocably changed the story of the Dreamliner. While commercial air travel remains, statistically, the safest way to travel, this disaster is a sobering reminder that there is no room for complacency. It underscores the constant need for rigorous oversight and a commitment to addressing every technical issue, no matter how small it may seem. The findings of the ongoing investigation will be absolutely critical, not just for determining the future of this advanced aircraft, but for ensuring the safety of all of us who fly.